New Commonwealth countries, and there's also been a drop in those arriving from some EU countries. Well, we're joined now from our central London studio by Sunder Katwala, the director of the British Future think tank, and from Deddington in Oxfordshire by the chairman of Migration Watch, Sir Andrew Green. Good afternoon to both of you. Sir Andrew Green, first of all, net migration to the UK then fallen by a third. I assume you welcome those figures.
I do indeed. This is extremely good news. And it's better news because the government have achieved this reduction in net migration without any real damage to other things like students and business. The number of visas for university students has actually gone up by 3%, and the number of work permits has gone up by 2 or 3%. So they've managed to do it, but without harming other objectives, and I think that's extremely good news.
Sunder Katwala, would you agree with that? This has been achieved with no damage to students or businesses.
I think we don't entirely know, for example, the student numbers overall, whether we're deterring good fee-paying students from India. The Prime Minister was trying to attract them the other day, or whether we're losing people who weren't interested in being students, which clearly people would welcome. The government has got the number down to about 160,000, so they've done the bit that can be done comfortably. To get down to their target of 100,000 would be much harder. So it's good that Sir Andrew thinks it's very important that we don't damage the universities, we don't damage the economy if he's looking for sensible reductions in immigration. But David Cameron's got to get this number down to 100,000, and what Sir Andrew wants is the number down to 0 or to net 40 at most, and it's very hard to see without some very big policy measures how you're going to get reductions of those kinds of levels unless you do something very drastic in terms of the economy or the universities or leaving Europe, for example.
OK, give us some examples, Sunder Katwala, before I put that to Sir Andrew Green. What kind of policies would be needed to get the numbers down further?
Well, I think while we're in the European Union, Sir Andrew thinks that there might be very high numbers from Romania and Bulgaria. We don't know. But it's hard, therefore, to see that might challenge the government keeping the numbers at current levels. So to get down to, David Cameron wants 100,000 more people coming in than going out. People like Sir Andrew, who don't want that at all, who want no more coming in than going out, would need to, I think, identify policies that could do that without harming the economy. Spain has got net migration down a lot, but they did by crashing the economy. None of us wants to do that.
So how do you achieve that, Sir Andrew Green, without crashing the economy?
Well, first of all, let me put this in context, if I may. In the last 10 years, as we learned from the census, we've had 3 million immigrants come in the space of 1 decade. We just cannot absorb people at that pace. The society can't cope with it, we don't need it, and we've got to get a hold of it. If we allow the present flow to continue, we'll have another 5 million in the next 15 years. That is the equivalent of 8 of our largest cities: Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds and 4 others. So this is not a theoretical argument about this, that or the other number. It's about the absolute future of our country. Having said that, Sunder is quite right. It's not going to be easy to get the numbers right down. Let's take it a pace at a time. So far, the government have done very well. They've knocked off 80,000 down to 160. What they need to do next, it seems to me, is to make sure that people who come here entirely legally leave at the end of their stay. That's what has not been happening in recent years, and I think a lot more is needed to be done on that front. Because what we're talking about here is the number who come minus the number who go. So we need now to focus on the number who go and whose time in Britain has expired.
OK, Sunder Katwala, I want to pick up on something Sir Andrew Green said there and put it to you. This idea that the goal is a valid one of bringing the numbers down significantly because the future of our country depends on it. Would you agree with that basic analysis?
It's very legitimate to debate what the right level is for Britain in terms of our interests and our values, but people are more interested in who we're keeping and who we're not letting in than what the overall number is. Because if people have come to create jobs or to work, that's good, and if they've come not to work, then we want to get rid of that. If they've come genuinely to study. The problem with Sir Andrew's analysis there is he didn't give us any ideas as to how we'd get it right down to 0. The Prime Minister doesn't want to get it down to 0. The Prime Minister wants to keep it at 100,000 more people coming in a year because he can't see a way to not damage the universities or the economy. Now, the idea that we want all of the legitimate earning job-creating people to go after 5 years. I don't think that's what we want. I want integration to work. Integration works mean when people come, we want them to be British, we want their children to be British, and we want them to fully contribute to their society. That's what my father did. It's what my mother did. So actually, if we say to people, if you come, we want you to go again, we're getting a lot of churn. And I think some of us want to see integration work, whatever the level of immigration we have, and managing the numbers down, managing the pace of change is part of that. But actually, it's about focusing on integration as much as immigration.
So one last point from you, Sir Andrew Green, to perhaps give us a specific policy that can achieve what you say is needed to bring the numbers down and yet not damage the economy.
Well, the first thing is that when people's leave expires, they need to be actually reminded to go, and if they don't go, they have to be obliged to go. But can I just say, I really agree with the integration point. What I'm saying is that if you have millions and millions, which is what we've now got, it's not feasible. If you've got a school where there's only one or even none British-born children, then there's nobody to integrate to. So we've got to a scale of numbers where the integration that both Sunder and I want to see becomes extremely difficult. So our argument is get the numbers down. I don't say to zero, we can't do that tomorrow, but we must get them down substantially, and then the problem becomes manageable.
OK, well, we must leave it there. It's a debate I'm sure we could carry on all afternoon, but we don't have time, sadly. So Andrew Green and Sunder Katwala, we appreciate your time. Thank you.